Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out a penny, and realizing that little copper-colored coin could be worth more than your house, your car, and your retirement fund combined. It sounds like the beginning of a fairy tale, but it's a very real possibility. In fact, one specific, Lincoln penny, a coin that most people overlooked in 2009, has been known to sell for staggering amounts, with reports of prices as high as $917,000 in pristine condition. And yes, in the right circumstances. This humble 1-cent coin has even been whispered about in collector circles as being worth up to millions. So here's the million-dollar question. Could one of these life-changing coins already be sitting quietly in your change jar, hiding in plain sight? Let's rewind the clock for a moment. The year was 2009. The nation was facing one of the worst economic recessions since the Great Depression. People were worried about mortgages, jobs, and savings. But amid that financial chaos, something remarkable happened in the world of coinage. It was the bicentennial of Abraham Lincoln's birth. 200 years since one of America's greatest leaders entered the world. To honor the occasion, the U.S. Mint decided to shake things up with the penny, instead of just the standard Lincoln Memorial design that had been around for decades. The Mint released a series of commemorative reverse designs, each one depicting a chapter of Lincoln's life. Collectors call them the 2009 Lincoln Bicentennial cents. There was the log cabin representing his humble beginnings, the young rail splitter symbolizing his hard work, the Illinois State House marking his years as a legislator, and finally, the half-finished U.S. Capitol dome, representing his presidency and the unfinished work of uniting a fractured nation. On the surface, they were just ordinary cents. Millions upon millions were struck. Kids were pulling them from change to complete sets. Teachers were using them in history lessons, and collectors were setting aside rolls. But here's the twist that makes your heart race. Not every coin was struck the same way. Some came from the Philadelphia Mint without a mint mark, and in a few extraordinary cases, errors, low mintages, and pristine conditions aligned to create a numismatic storm, a coin that looks ordinary but could fund your dreams. Now, let's pause. Imagine the irony. In 2009, people were scraping together every penny they had, sometimes literally, just to buy groceries or gas. Yet hidden among those very pennies were potential treasures worth more than a luxury home. Here's where things get really intriguing. The Philadelphia Mint coins, the ones without a mint mark, are particularly sought after by collectors. Why? Because they are more prone to subtle variations, striking issues, and in some cases, minting errors that dramatically increase their value. Some of these coins, when preserved in absolutely flawless condition, we're talking the kind of coin that looks like it just left the press yesterday, have commanded extraordinary sums at auction. Let's put this into perspective. A penny worth 1 cent by law, suddenly selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars. In one reported case, a 2009 Bicentennial no mint mark Lincoln cent graded at the highest possible condition stunned the market. fetching $917,000. Think about that for a second. If you stacked pennies to reach that value, the pile would tower higher than the Statue of Liberty. And that begs the question, why are collectors willing to pay such astronomical sums for something so small, so common-looking? The answer is part economics, part psychology, and part treasure hunt. Rarity is everything in the world of coins. The combination of historical significance, Lincoln's 200th birthday, and the unpredictability of mint errors and survival in mint state condition created the perfect recipe. A coin like this is not just money. It's art, it's history, it's a conversation piece, and it's bragging rights all rolled into one. Here's the kicker though. Most people don't even know they might already own one. Every day, pennies are tossed into tip jars, left on sidewalks, and shoved into piggy banks without a second thought. And yet, one of those little copper-plated discs could be the key to unlocking a life-changing windfall. Now, let's shift gears. Suppose you're listening to this and thinking, okay, but surely my chances of finding one are close to zero. That's the fear that keeps most people from ever checking. And yet, people do find them. Collectors, sharp-eyed hobbyists, even casual individuals who just happen to save their change from 2009, they stumble across these coins every year. The odds aren't as impossible as you might think. After all, every million-dollar lottery ticket was once just a random piece of paper, too. Here's what you need to know. If you have 2009 pennies, especially those with no mint mark, that means no little d for Denver or S for San Francisco. You need to inspect them closely. Look for signs of sharp detail, clean surfaces, no scratches, no wear. The condition is absolutely critical. A coin in worn condition might still be worth a few dollars to collectors, but one in gem mint state could be worth thousands, even hundreds of thousands. And this is where many people make a heartbreaking mistake. They spend the coin. They throw it back into circulation. They use it in a vending machine. And just like that, a potential fortune slips away forever. Now, let's talk about the emotional side for a moment. Picture what it would feel like if tomorrow you discovered you had one of these coins tucked away in an old jar. What would you do? Would you sell it immediately, cashing in on the excitement? Or would you hold on to it, waiting for values to climb even higher? These are the questions collectors wrestle with every single day. And here's another cliffhanger for you. The coin market is not static. Values change. Demand rises and falls. What's worth a few thousand today might be worth 10 times that tomorrow. Remember, the $917,000 sale shocked even veteran dealers. Nobody expected a penny, literally a penny, to reach nearly $1 million. And that's why now, more than ever, it pays to look closely at the change rattling around in your pocket. Of course, not every 2009 penny is a jackpot. Most are just worth their face value. But the possibility that yours isn't, that's what makes this hunt so irresistible. It's the thrill of the unknown. It's the same feeling as buying a lottery ticket. but without spending a dime. Because the ticket is already sitting in your hand. Let's not forget the storytelling power behind this coin. Abraham Lincoln himself was the embodiment of rising from nothing to greatness. Born in a log cabin, self-taught, hard-working, persistent, he changed the course of history. And in a way, this penny reflects that same story. Something so small, so easily overlooked, has the potential to rise from obscurity to unimaginable value. Now, let's get practical. If you want to know whether you might have one of these valuable coins, there are a few steps you should take. First, gather every 2009 penny you can find. Check the obverse, that's the side with Lincoln's portrait, and see if there's a mint mark under the date. If there's nothing there, you may have a Philadelphia coin. Next, examine the reverse. Which design is it? The log cabin, the rail splitter, the Capitol dome. Each has its own appeal, but remember, condition trumps all. Finally, if you suspect your coin is pristine, do not clean it. I repeat, do not clean it. Cleaning a coin can destroy its value instantly. Instead, place it in a protective holder and consider having it graded by a professional service like PCGS or NGC. And here's a little insider tip. Even coins that aren't the absolute top of the line can still bring in impressive sums if they have unique characteristics. Double strikes, die cracks, off-center strikes, these mint errors turn ordinary cents into collector gold. So keep your eyes peeled. Let me leave you with this thought. The next time you hear the clinking of change in your pocket, don't dismiss it as worthless. That little penny could be destiny disguised as copper. It could be the key to paying off debts, securing your retirement, or even changing your family's future forever. So, will you take a second look the next time you see a 2009 penny with no mint mark? Or will you let it slip away, unnoticed, like so many others have before? The choice is yours. But remember this, history has a way of hiding treasures in plain sight. And sometimes, those treasures are no bigger than a penny. Because when all is said and done, the real question is not whether these coins exist. We know they do. The real question is, will you be the one to find it before someone else does? This is not the kind of story you want to miss, because chances are you have seen, touched, or even spent one of these pennies without realizing the treasure it could be. Some collectors have paid as much as $911,000 for a single example in pristine condition. Yes, you heard that right, nearly $1 million for a penny that most people toss in a jar by the door. How does an everyday coin become a financial windfall? Why do some people cash in while the rest of us unknowingly let fortunes slip through our fingers? Tonight, we are going to unravel the mystery of the 1979 Lincoln penny, why it matters, how it became so valuable, and what you should be looking for in your own change. So grab a chair, take a deep breath, and lean in close. Because by the end of this story, you'll never look at your spare change the same way again. Let's begin at the start. The year was 1979. America was in a time of transition. Disco was fading. Inflation was climbing, and Jimmy Carter was in the White House. Gas prices were biting wallets, and a new sense of economic uncertainty hung in the air. Amidst all this, the United States Mint continued its steady production of the Lincoln cent, a coin first introduced in 1909 to honor Abraham Lincoln's centennial birthday. Most people didn't pay attention to pennies in 1979. They were, after all, just copper discs easily lost between couch cushions. But coin collectors, those sharp-eyed individuals who see value where others see nothing, noticed something interesting about that year's production. Particularly, the pennies struck at the Denver Mint. Why Denver? Because the Denver Mint, denoted by the tiny d below the date, was notorious for its quirks. Striking billions of coins each year meant quality sometimes varied. Small imperfections, doubled designs, misaligned strikes, or unexpected errors could slip through. And in the world of coin collecting, those imperfections turn ordinary metal into extraordinary treasure. But here's the twist. While most 1979 D pennies are still only worth face value, a handful, just a tiny handful, are worth astronomical sums. We're talking sales reported as high as $911,000 for the finest examples. Some experts even speculate that in the right auction, under the right conditions, one of these coins could cross into the $1 million territory. Imagine 1 cent becoming $1 million. It's enough to make your heart race. So what exactly makes these coins so special? First, condition is king. The higher the grade, the higher the payout. Coins are graded on a scale from 1 to 70, with 70 being a flawless, perfect coin. Most coins in circulation are heavily worn, scratched, or damaged. But occasionally, a penny escapes into the world nearly untouched. Sharp details, glossy luster, no fingerprints, no scratches. These are the unicorns of the coin world. And when it comes to the 1979 D Lincoln cent, those unicorns are worth a small fortune. Second, there are errors and varieties. A double die obverse. For example, where the design appears doubled because of a mistake in the minting process, can turn a regular penny into a rare collector's prize. Some 1979 D pennies exhibit dramatic doubling on Lincoln's portrait or the lettering. Others show misaligned mint marks or unusual die cracks. These anomalies, instead of being flaws, become features that collectors drool over. Here's where it gets suspenseful. Right now, there are millions of 1979 D pennies sitting quietly in jars, drawers, piggy banks, and coffee cans across the United States. Most are common, but mixed in are the rare, valuable ones. And unless you know what you're looking for, you could spend or worse. Throw away a coin that could pay off your mortgage, erase your debt, or even fund your retirement. Think about that the next time you let a penny slip through your fingers. But let's pause for a moment. Why would anyone pay close to $1 million for a coin? The answer lies in the psychology of collecting: rarity, condition, and demand. Humans have always placed extraordinary value on rare objects. From ancient artifacts to sports memorabilia, rarity commands a premium. And when a coin combines rarity with pristine beauty and historical significance, the price tag skyrockets. For the 1979 D penny, it's the perfect storm. Billions were made, but only a handful survive in top condition with the right characteristics. Collectors, investors, and even wealthy enthusiasts fight to own them. It becomes not just about owning a coin, but owning a piece of history, a piece of rarity, a symbol of status. Now let me ask you, have you ever checked your pennies? Not just glanced at them, but really studied them. Look at the date. Look at the mint mark. Examine the surface, because every so often, someone does just that and discovers a small fortune hiding in plain sight. Take, for example, the story of the collector who stumbled across a high-grade 1979 D penny at a flea market. The seller thought it was just a shiny coin, maybe worth a few dollars. The buyer? He later had it certified and watched it sell for a life-changing sum. Imagine that rush of excitement turning a casual find into a six-figure payday. Or the countless stories of everyday people, teachers, mechanics, retirees who started sorting through jars of coins and ended up unlocking treasures they never imagined. These aren't Wall Street investors or seasoned numismatists. They're ordinary people who took the time to look closely. Here's the suspenseful truth. The next story could be yours. But here's the fear factor: you could also unknowingly spend your fortune tomorrow. That penny you hand to the cashier, that coin you drop in the vending machine, it might be the very one worth hundreds of thousands. And once it's gone, it's gone. No second chance. Someone else will be the lucky finder. Now, let's address a critical point. Not every 1979 D penny is valuable. Most are not. But isn't that exactly what makes the hunt so thrilling? It's like a lottery, but the tickets are already in your possession. You don't need to buy in. You just need to start looking. So what should you be watching for? Step 1. Check the mint mark. Look for that tiny D under the date. Step 2. Examine condition. Coins with sharp details, no scratches, and original shine are worth submitting for professional grading. Step 3. Hunt for errors, doubled lettering, unusual cracks, or misplaced mint marks. Even small variations can add thousands of dollars in value. And here's the kicker: the coin market is hotter than ever. In recent years, collectors have flocked to rare coins as both a hobby and an investment. Prices are climbing, competition is fierce, and demand for high-grade examples continues to grow. That means the window of opportunity is right now. But the real climax is this: the 1979 D penny is just the beginning. Once you open your eyes to the world of rare coins, you'll discover dozens of other dates, mint marks, and errors hiding enormous value. From the famous 1943 copper penny to the 1955 double die, history is filled with coins worth life-changing sums. The 1979D is simply today's headline grabber. So what's the takeaway? Never ever underestimate the penny. That tiny coin we dismiss as worthless could hold the power to transform your financial life. It's the underdog of the currency world, overlooked, ignored, even thrown away. But in the right moment, in the right condition, it becomes a giant dot. As we close, let me leave you with this challenge. Tonight, after you finish this video, dig out that jar of coins you've been ignoring. Pull out the pennies. Look closely at the dates, the mint marks, the details, because hidden among them might be your ticket to a fortune. And wouldn't it be tragic if you never knew? So don't let your wealth slip through your fingers. The 1979D Lincoln penny may look ordinary, but it holds extraordinary potential. The next time you hear that familiar clink of copper, remember, it could be the sound of opportunity knocking. And opportunity doesn't knock twice. Now, ask yourself, will you be the one who finds it? Or will you let someone else's fortune pass through your hands? The choice is yours, and that is the mystery and the $1 million Magicove, the 1979D Lincoln penny. Because in 2003, the U.S. Mint released a batch of Lincoln cents that carried a hidden secret, a mistake, a minting error so rare, so unusual, that collectors today are willing to spend unimaginable sums to get their hands on one. And the wildest part, most people still have no idea they exist. Which means you could be holding one right now without even realizing it. Let's rewind for a moment. The Lincoln penny has been in circulation since 1909. And it's one of the most familiar coins in American history. You see it every day. You barely notice it, and yet within that sea of billions of pennies, certain rare varieties have become legendary. Like the 1943 copper penny, which sold for over $1 million. Or the 1955 double die, which caused collectors to lose their minds when they first saw Lincoln's face printed in a ghostly double image. These coins are the holy grails of numismatic small, almost invisible mistakes that transform pocket change into life-changing treasure. And in 2003, lightning struck again. The so-called no-mint mark Lincoln cent from that year isn't just another oddity. It's a coin with the potential to shake up your financial world in ways you wouldn't believe. Now, here's where things get thrilling. Most 2003 pennies were struck with a small letter beneath the year, either a P for Philadelphia or a D for Denver. But every so often, a coin slipped through without that mint mark, a ghost penny, a silent cent. And when these error coins reached collectors' hands, the frenzy began. One of these coins, preserved in pristine condition, was reportedly sold at auction for a staggering $905,000. That's right. Nearly $1 million for a single penny. Can you even imagine? The kind of story that makes you dig through every drawer in your house, every jar of loose change, hoping lightning might strike twice. But wait, you might be thinking, surely this is just hype. Surely no one would pay that much for a penny. Well, consider this. Rare coin collecting is one of the most passionate, competitive, and frankly obsessive hobbies in America. Wealthy collectors will pay whatever it takes to own the rarest of the rare. And when supply is virtually non-existent, the price isn't just high, it's astronomical. So here's the burning question. How do you know if you've got one of these mysterious 2003 no mint mark cents in your possession. And more importantly, what should you do if you find one? Let's start with the hunt. You don't need fancy equipment to begin. Just a good eye, some patience, and maybe a magnifying glass. Pick up a 2003 penny and look right under the date. If you see a tiny D or P, it's ordinary. If you see nothing at all, your heart should skip a beat. That's the moment you might just realize you're holding a fortune. Of course, condition matters. Collectors grade coins on a meticulous scale, ranging from good, which means beat up and worn, to mint state, which means flawless and shining as though it left the press yesterday. The difference in value is dramatic. A no-mint mark penny in poor shape might fetch a few $100s. But a flawless specimen with crisp details and not a single scratch. That's where the numbers skyrocket into 6, even 7 figures. Think about that. The same coin, same year, same error, but one is worth maybe enough for a nice dinner out, and the other is worth more than most people's homes. All because of condition. It makes you wonder, how many potential $1,000,000 pennies have been spent on coffee without anyone noticing? And here's where things get even more exciting. Most people never bother to check their change. They toss pennies aside, treat them as worthless, let them gather dust in jars. But you're already ahead of the game, because now you know the secret, the key to a treasure hunt that could change your financial future. Picture this. You're going through an old piggy bank, rolling coins into paper sleeves, grumbling about the annoyance of pennies. Suddenly, you spot a 2003 date. You glance beneath it, and your breath catches. No P, no D, just empty space. Your hands start to shake. Could it be? Could you be staring at a 6-figure payday? That thrill, that pulse of adrenaline, is exactly what drives collectors. And it's why they'll pay more than you'd ever expect to own a piece of history. Because these coins aren't just metal, they're accidents frozen in time. Glitches in the system that should never have happened. Owning one is like holding a secret that almost slipped through the cracks of American history. But here's the danger. For every genuine rarity, there are fakes, counterfeits, coins that have been tampered with, altered, or even manufactured overseas to trick unsuspecting sellers. That's why, if you ever think you've struck gold or copper, in this case, you must get it authenticated by a reputable grading service. Organizations like PCGs or NGC will examine your coin, verify its authenticity, and give it an official grade. Without that certificate, no serious collector will pay the big bucks. And don't forget, time is money. The market for rare coins rises and falls just like any other investment. Right now, demand for rare Lincoln cents is red hot, fueled by headlines of record-breaking sales. But if you sit on your coin too long, who knows? That $1,000,000 opportunity could vanish as quickly as it appeared. So let me ask you, how many pennies have you ignored in your life? How many times have you brushed them off as worthless, left them behind on a counter, or tossed them into a tip jar without a second thought? Now imagine one of those forgotten pennies was the key to a financial windfall you'll never see again. The thought sends chills down your spine, doesn't it? This is where the urgency kicks in. Every day, ordinary Americans are spending or discarding coins that could be worth life-changing sums. Every day, a potential fortune slips through someone's fingers because they didn't bother to look. The only question is, will that be you? Or will you be the one who recognizes the treasure hiding in plain sight? The story of the 2003 no-mint mark Lincoln cent isn't just about coins. It's about awareness. It's about taking a second. Look at the things we dismiss as worthless and realizing their true value. In a way, it's a reminder for life itself. How often do we ignore opportunities because they seem too small, too insignificant, too ordinary? And yet, sometimes the smallest things hold the biggest rewards. So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't just toss those pennies aside. Search them, study them. Treat each one as if it could be the ticket to financial freedom. Because for someone out there, it already was. One penny, $905,000. Think about that. That's the power of paying attention. And here's the ultimate twist. Experts believe that more of these coins are still out there, hidden away in drawers, jars, or forgotten collections, which means the story isn't over. The next headline-making discovery could come from someone just like you. Maybe tomorrow. Maybe next week. Maybe the very next coin you pick up. So I'll leave you with this. The world's greatest treasures aren't always locked in vaults or buried underground. Sometimes they're jingling in your pocket, waiting for the right set of eyes to recognize them. Will you be that person? Will you be the one who turns a penny into a payday most people can only dream about? Or will you let it slip away, just another coin in the crowd? The choice, as they say, is in your hands, or perhaps already in your pocket. Now tell me, how many pennies will you check tonight? This is not a fantasy. It has already happened. Certain 2014 Lincoln cents, those struck with uncommon perfection or harboring extraordinary minting errors, have shocked the numismatic world by selling for staggering amounts. Reported market sales reaching as high as $901,000 for examples in top condition. Imagine a single penny, less than the cost of a stick of gum, catapulting into six-figure territory. Why is this happening, and what does it mean for you and the coins you already own? Let's peel back the layers of this story, because it's more than just about copper and zinc. It's about opportunity, about the fine line between the ordinary and the extraordinary, and about how a moment of awareness can make the difference between tossing away a fortune and securing it. To understand why the 2014 penny holds such mystique, we need to look at how these coins came into existence. In 2014, the Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents. Most were struck, bagged, and distributed without much fanfare. But in the vast machinery of mass production, strange things happen. A misaligned die, a doubled strike, a faint engraving anomaly, any one of these tiny imperfections can give birth to a rarity. And when rarity collides with condition, pristine, untouched, gleaming condition. That's when the fireworks happen. Now, you might ask, how could anyone possibly pay nearly $1 million for a coin that's less than 10 years old and 1 cent in face value? The answer lies in a combination of scarcity, condition, and collector psychology. In the world of rare coins, perfection is a siren's song. Coins graded at the absolute top tier. Flawless examples are chased by wealthy collectors the way art patrons chase a Picasso. When a modern penny achieves such status, it becomes not just a coin, but a trophy. And the price tag follows accordingly. Here's a startling truth. The difference between a coin worth a penny and a coin worth a fortune often comes down to details invisible to the naked eye. A faint doubling in the lettering, a subtle die crack, the way light dances across an untouched surface. These are the silent markers of value. Have you ever held a penny up to the light and wondered if there was more to it than meets the eye? You should, because some collectors already have, and they've walked away wealthier than you can imagine. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Picture the average American in 2014. The country was recovering from recession. Digital wallets were gaining ground, and yet billions of little copper-plated coins kept jingling in pockets. Who could have guessed that among those billions were a select few destined to become treasures? It's like a modern-day gold rush, except the gold is hiding in plain sight, disguised as pocket change. Now, here's where it gets even more dramatic. While most circulated examples of the 2014 D-penny are worth only their face value, certain error coins, double dies, off-center strikes, or those struck on the wrong planchette can sell for hundreds or thousands of dollars even in circulated condition. Combine a major error with top-tier grading, and suddenly you're looking at life-changing sums. This isn't theory. It's happening in auction houses across the country. Collectors are bidding fiercely, and some are walking away with coins that cost less than a cup of coffee but resell for more than a luxury car. So, ask yourself, how many 2014 D-pennies have passed through your hands? How many times have you emptied your pockets, shrugged off your change, and unknowingly let slip a chance at extraordinary wealth? That little clink in a vending machine tray could have been a fortune disappearing into anonymity. And here comes the twist. The story doesn't end with 2014. Every year, every minting run carries the potential for these hidden gems. But 2014 D stands out, both for its documented market history and the sheer excitement it has sparked in the coin collecting world. It has become a symbol of possibility, a reminder that wealth doesn't always hide in hedge funds or real estate portfolios. Sometimes it hides in the palm of your hand. Of course, not all pennies are created equal. The coin market is ruthless about grading. A 2014 D Lincoln cent pulled straight from circulation, nicked and worn, may never fetch more than face value. But one sealed in a protective roll, untouched, gleaming red and flawless under magnification. That's where the magic lies. The professional grading services like PCGs or NGC assign numerical scores that can mean the difference between $1 and $1 million. A single point higher in grade can multiply a coin's value by 10, 20, even 100. Think about that. A coin that looks identical to you could, to the trained eye, be the difference between pocket change and a retirement fund. But here's where the urgency kicks in. Every day that passes, these coins circulate further. They get scratched, worn, damaged. Each nick, each blemish, chips away at their potential value. Time is not your friend when it comes to discovering treasures in circulation. That means if you're sitting on a jar of pennies from the last decade, or if you habitually dismiss those coins as worthless, you could be sabotaging yourself. The opportunity is there, but it won't last forever. Think about it this way. How many people dismissed Bitcoin in 2010 as just another fad? How many walked away from opportunities because they didn't look glamorous enough? The 2014 D penny may not glitter like gold, but in the right condition, its financial impact can outshine gold itself. And unlike complex investments, this one doesn't require insider knowledge or Wall Street connections. It requires awareness, patience, and maybe a little magnifying glass. Let me add a little humor here. Next time you hear that familiar phrase, "A penny for your thoughts," maybe hold on to your thoughts. Because if that penny happens to be a flawless 2014 D, you'd be crazy to trade it for just an idea. So where does this story lead us? It leads to a cliffhanger hiding in your own home. The question isn't whether rare coins exist. They do. The question is whether one of them is sitting unnoticed in your possession. Imagine the feeling walking into an auction house with what you thought was a simple penny, and walking out with enough money to pay off debts, secure your retirement, or change your family's future. That possibility is real, and it begins with awareness. Here's the climactic truth. The 2014 D. Lincoln penny is more than just a coin. It's a symbol of hidden value, of everyday wealth disguised in the ordinary. And in today's economy, where every dollar counts, wouldn't it be foolish to ignore a potential jackpot hiding in plain sight? So tonight, when you empty your pockets, don't toss your pennies aside. Instead, hold them up to the light. Check the date. Look for that tiny D mint mark, because one of those coins might just be your ticket to unimaginable fortune. The next great coin discovery doesn't belong to someone else, to some nameless collector in a distant city. It could belong to you, but only if you pay attention. And here's the final question I'll leave you with. How many fortunes have already slipped through unsuspecting fingers, jingled in change jars, or been handed over at grocery stores without a second thought? Don't let yours be one of them. The 2014 D. Lincoln penny is out there, waiting. The only question that remains is, will you find it before someone else does? Have you ever held a penny in your hand and wondered if that tiny piece of copper-colored change could change your life forever? Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out what looks like an ordinary Lincoln cent, and realizing it could be worth hundreds of thousands, maybe even millions. Sounds impossible, right? But what if I told you that one very specific coin, the 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent, has shocked the numismatic world with reported sales that stretch into the unimaginable. Numbers as high as $888,000 for a single coin in pristine condition. Now think about that. You could be walking around right now with one of these, hiding in plain sight. Sitting in your car's cup holder, sitting in a jar on your dresser, waiting silently to be discovered. This is not just a story about pennies. It's a story about how history, chance, and a tiny minting quirk can turn the most overlooked coin in America into a life-changing jackpot. And if you stay with me until the end, you'll know exactly what makes this humble 2015 no mint mark penny so rare, how to spot one, and why collectors will stop at nothing to own it. Let's start at the beginning. The year is 2015. The US Mint is producing billions of pennies. These coins are everywhere. They pass through your hands at the grocery store, the gas station, the coffee shop. You'd think nothing of them. A penny is worth a penny. Until it sends, because among those countless ordinary cents, a few slipped through the cracks. Coins that were struck in such flawless condition or under such unusual circumstances that they instantly became something extraordinary. Here's the key: the 2015 Lincoln sent without a mint mark. Most people don't even realize that pennies struck in Philadelphia traditionally carried no mint mark. They just assume a blank coin is normal. But here's the twist: the absence of a mint mark doesn't always mean nothing special. In 2015, it created a perfect storm. Collectors began scouring for top-condition examples. Coins struck with razor-sharp detail, flawless surfaces, and eye-popping luster. And when those surfaced, the bidding wars went wild. How wild? Picture this: a single penny, just 1 cent in face value, commanding market prices that soared into the hundreds of thousands. One documented sale even hit $888,000. A coin you drop on the sidewalk without a second thought, suddenly worth more than a Ferrari. Now let me ask you, when was the last time you checked your change? How many times have you shrugged off a handful of coins as pocket clutter? What if that tiny oversight cost you a fortune? And here's where the suspense really deepens. Because it's not just about 1 or 2 collectors fighting for novelty. It's about a global market of numismatists, investors, and enthusiasts who recognize the historical significance of these coins. When rarity collides with condition, the demand skyrockets, and the beauty of it all. These coins are still out there, in circulation right now. But let's not rush ahead. You're probably wondering, what makes one 2015 penny worth a fortune while another is worth exactly 1 cent? The difference is hidden in the details. Minting is an industrial process, billions of coins struck by machines. Most end up with minor flaws. Little scratches, weak strikes, dull finishes. That's what makes the few that are perfect those miracle survivors so unbelievably valuable. Numismatists use a grading scale that goes from poor all the way up to mint state. 70. And here's the shocking truth. If your 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent is graded near the top of that scale, you're not just holding a coin, You're holding a ticket to financial transformation. Think about that for a second. A piece of change worth 1 cent could become a 6-figure asset simply because of condition. The difference between tossing it in a tip jar and cashing it in for a house. Of course, rarity is what fuels this fire. Coins like this aren't just rare, they're freak accidents of perfection. Billions of pennies are born, but only a microscopic fraction reach that flawless level collectors crave. It's like winning the lottery, except the ticket is already in your pocket, and the demand, insatiable. The Lincoln Cent series has one of the most passionate collector bases in the world. Generations of Americans have grown up with Lincoln pennies in their pockets. Collectors chase them not just for profit, but for legacy, for pride, for the thrill of completing a series that tells the story of America itself. Now let me hit you with a revelation, that might make you sit up straighter. Reports of record-breaking sales aren't just myths whispered in coin collector circles. Auction houses, private sales, and high-end dealers have confirmed astonishing figures. Imagine watching a 1-cent coin hammered down for nearly $900,000. The room goes silent. Everyone present knows they're witnessing history. And you, sitting at home, might already have one in your possession and not even know it. Are you starting to feel that little twinge of fear? That what if creeping in? What if you've let one slip through your hands before? What if the coin that could have changed your family's financial destiny rolled under your couch years ago and disappeared forever? That's the kind of fear that keeps collectors awake at night. But it's also the kind of excitement that keeps treasure hunters motivated. Because the flip side of fear is opportunity. And the opportunity is still alive right now, waiting for someone to act now. I know what you're thinking. How do I actually know if I've got one of these golden tickets disguised as a penny? First, look for the basics. It must be a 2015 Lincoln Cent without a mint mark, meaning struck in Philadelphia. Next, examine the condition. Does it shine like it was just minted yesterday? Are the details sharp? Every line in Lincoln's beard, every contour in his coat, the steps of the Lincoln Memorial crisp and defined. If you've got a coin that looks too good to be true, it might be time to get it graded. Professional grading services like PCGs or NGC can authenticate and assign an official grade to your coin. And here's the kicker: on ordinary 2015 penny is worth a penny. But once graded at the top level, suddenly it's commanding attention from wealthy collectors, investors, even museums, and the market is hungry. More people are waking up to the idea that pocket change can hold life-changing secrets. Every time a story breaks about a penny selling for 6 figures, it ignites a new wave of treasure hunters. People like you, checking their jars, digging through rolls of coins from the bank, looking for that 1 in a billion chance. But let's pause for a moment, because there's an irony here that I can't ignore. Think about how many pennies we've all tossed aside, left in a tip jar, slid across a counter, dropped in the parking lot. And yet, one of those could have been the key to a new home, a college fund, or even retirement security. Suddenly, pennies don't feel so worthless anymore, do they? And just when you think you've wrapped your head around it, here comes the real jaw-dropper. The fact that these sales keep happening suggests there may still be undiscovered 2015 no mint mark cents out there. Imagine the adrenaline of being the one to uncover it. The thrill of sending it off for grading. The moment you get the call, congratulations. Your coin is a top pop example worth hundreds of thousands. What would you do next? Pay off debt. Take that dream vacation. Maybe never look at spare change the same way again. Here's where I leave you with both inspiration and urgency. Because the window of opportunity doesn't stay open forever. As more collectors scoop up the best surviving examples, the chances of finding one in the wild shrink every year. Every coin pulled from circulation and locked in a collector's vault is one less waiting in your pocket. So, I'll ask you again, when was the last time you checked your change? The last time you really looked? The answer could mean the difference between ignoring a penny and seizing a life-changing fortune. The 2015 no mint mark Lincoln cent is more than just a coin. It's a reminder that extraordinary value often hides in plain sight. That sometimes, life's biggest opportunities are the ones we overlook every single day. So the next time a cashier hands you a handful of change, don't just stuff it in your pocket. Look closely, because your $1 million moment could be sitting right there, disguised as a penny. And when it comes to this coin, the only real question is, will you be the one who finds it before it's too late? Now imagine that same penny selling for more than the price of a luxury home. Sounds impossible, doesn't it? Yet here's the shocking truth. The 2020 Lincoln cent with a Denver mint mark, the little D just under the date, has surfaced in rare conditions. And certain examples have been reported to fetch astronomical sums. We're not talking about a few $100s, not even a few thousand. Market sales have been reported soaring as high as $872,000 for a single coin. And experts warn that may only be the beginning. The idea that a penny you casually toss in a drawer could be worth more than a lifetime of paychecks is the kind of story that seems too good to be true. But here's the thing, it isn't just about luck. It's about knowledge. And tonight, you're about to discover the story of the 2020D Lincoln cent, how it rose from pocket change to legend, and why ignoring it might mean missing out on a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. Now, let's rewind. The Lincoln cent has been around since 1909, one of the longest-running coin designs in American history. Most of the time, these coins are minted by the billions and forgotten as quickly as they're made. But every so often, a handful escape the minting process with tiny flaws, unique features, or flawless conditions so pristine they defy the odds. And when that happens, collectors go wild. Think of it this way. There are millions of 2020 pennies rattling around in change jars, vending machines, and glove compartments. But only a microscopic fraction carry the traits that make experts' hearts skip a beat. Some may show double dies, subtle mistrikes, or errors invisible to the untrained eye. Others may be struck so perfectly, preserved so flawlessly, that they qualify as the numismatic equivalent of diamonds. And it's these elite few that climb to dizzying prices, sometimes into the hundreds of thousands, even millions. Here's the suspense. The 2020 penny is still new enough that discoveries are unfolding even now. Collectors and dealers are reporting dramatic sales, with one specimen in immaculate top condition hitting an astonishing $872,000. Let that sink in. That's nearly $1 million for a coin the size of your thumbnail. Suddenly, you start asking yourself, how many times have I let one of these slip through my fingers? The world of coin collecting is fueled by rarity, condition, and demand. Take away just one of those factors and you're left with pocket change. But combine them and you have a formula for life-changing wealth. The Denver Mint produced billions of Lincoln cents in 2020, but not all coins are created equal. Some left the presses with doubled lettering, die cracks, or dramatic off-center strikes that transformed ordinary pennies into treasure. Others, protected from circulation and certified at the highest grades by professional grading services, became coveted trophies for elite collectors. These are the coins that auction houses whisper about, the ones that spark bidding wars and leave jaws on the floor. But here's the part that sends chills down the spine. You could be sitting on one of these coins right now without even realizing it. How many times have you emptied your pockets into a jar? How many rolls of pennies have you ignored at the bank? If you're not checking, you might be walking past a fortune every single day. Picture the scene. A retiree in Kansas cracks open a roll of fresh 2020 cents, expecting nothing more than a little weekend hobby. He notices something unusual, a sharp doubling on the obverse, a pristine shine that looks almost unreal. Weeks later, his find crosses the auction block. And suddenly, a man who once counted every dollar now holds a check big enough to change his life. Stories like this aren't just myths, they're happening. And yet, the cruel irony. For every lucky finder, there are thousands who missed their chance. The 2020 is in circulation now. It's slipping quietly from hands to cash registers to coin counters. Every day, more are scratched, damaged, or lost forever. The clock is ticking, and the window of opportunity is closing. What makes this coin so powerful in the marketplace? It's not just the age, after all. It's barely a few years old. It's the combination of extreme condition rarity, potential error varieties, and the excitement of modern collectors who crave the next big story. One look at auction results reveals a sobering pattern. While most 2020 pennies sell for face value, a handful graded at the top, like MS68 or MS69, catapult into the stratosphere. And when an era variety joins the mix, that's when headlines scream numbers like 872,000. This is where knowledge becomes wealth. Most people never look at their change. They assume the time for rare coins has passed, that treasures belong only to the past. But the 2020 proves that even modern coins can become jackpots. It's not about digging through dusty estates or hunting in old barns. It's about opening your wallet right now and daring to look closer. Let's pause for a moment. What would you do if you found one? Imagine holding a penny in your palm that could wipe out your mortgage, pay for your child's college tuition, or buy you the car of your dreams. Would you sell it immediately? Would you hold on to it, waiting for the market to rise even higher? Or would you keep it as a family heirloom, knowing its story could inspire generations? And here's a funny twist. Sometimes, people literally spend fortunes without knowing it. There are stories of individuals handing over rare coins at grocery stores, unknowingly trading away small fortunes for a loaf of bread. It's almost comical and yet tragic to think about how easily wealth slips through unnoticed. Don't let that be your story. The suspense builds further when we consider grading. A coin's value is determined not just by rarity, but by condition. The difference between an MS-65 penny and an MS-68 penny can be the difference between a few $100 and hundreds of thousands. That's why professional certification is the gold standard. Reputable services like PCGs and NGC are the gatekeepers, the arbiters of what turns a coin from pocket change into treasure. If you think you've found something special, that's your next step. Now here's the cliffhanger you didn't expect. Millions of Americans have already handled a 2020 cent, but almost none of them have checked for the clues. Could one of those coins still be lying in your home? Could it be hiding in plain sight, waiting to be discovered by someone with the eyes to see? The truth is, history is repeating itself. Decades ago, collectors laughed at the idea of modern coins being valuable. Then along came the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, a mistake so dramatic it turned spare change into a national sensation. Those coins, once worth just a cent, now trade for tens of thousands. The same fate may be unfolding right now for the 2020D, but unlike the 1955 cent, the window for discovery is narrower and competition is fiercer. So where does this leave you? You're standing at a crossroads. On one side, you can keep ignoring the pennies that cross your path, treating them as insignificant. On the other, you can start looking, really looking, and join the small group of people who understand that treasure doesn't always glitter. Sometimes it's copper-colored and hiding in plain sight. Think of the possibilities. What if tonight, after this video, you dig through your change jar and spot that little D under the date? What if you notice something unusual? A doubling? A shine? A perfect strike? What if you send it off for grading and discover you've been sitting on a six-figure coin? That's not just a nice thought. It's a life-changing reality waiting to happen. And yes, there will always be skeptics. They'll say, it's just a penny. They said the same about every great discovery in numismatic history. But the auction records don't lie. $872,000. That's not a rumor. That's reality. And for those who dismiss it, well, let's just say they'll keep spending their fortunes 1 cent at a time, never realizing what they had. The final question is this: are you going to be the person who walks past opportunity, or the one who seizes it? Because the story of the 2020D Lincoln cent isn't just about coins. It's about awareness, about paying attention to the world around you. about realizing that even the smallest, most ordinary things can hold extraordinary value. So, the next time a penny crosses your path, pause, turn it over, look for that D, examine the details, because somewhere out there, another collector will discover the next great treasure. And the only question left will be, why wasn't it you? The humble penny may be the coin we ignore the most, but history is whispering a different story. Sometimes, the tiniest coin carries the heaviest weight. Sometimes, the change in your pocket holds the power to change your life. And with the 2020D Lincoln cent, the next chapter of that story may be written by you.